All right, in case you missed class today, we did a review for our test that we're going to be having next class. And so here it is in case you need to go back to it. What's going to be on this test? We're going to have old inverses from last section. We're going to have graphing an inverse from last section. We're going to have the new angle relationships. So we're going to talk about these and what they might look like. And then we're also going to have a review from last semester, solving quadratics. So all of this is basically what's going to be on your test, plus some vocabulary. So the vocabulary that's going to show up is going to be part of your practice test homework tonight. So you can see, okay, what vocab might be on there. All right, let's get started. If you do inverses with the switch XY way, that's the first way I'm going to show. If you do inverses as the table method, I'm going to show that as the second method. That way you can still be choosing which way am I going to show my work. All right, so step one, starting with that f of x equals, we're going to change it to a y. And these steps are in your study guide. Step two is I'm going to switch out the x and the y. Step three is that now I start moving things around to get y by itself. So I'm going to minus the 7. I'm going to multiply both sides by a 1/4, or by 4, I mean. And last, we add 5. So my inverse function is f of negative 1 of x is equal to 4 times the quantity x minus 7 plus 5. Notice that I changed the y into an f of negative 1 of x while I was switching this around. Now, what if you want to use the table method? Let's go take a peek at that. Here are going to be the functions that are happening to your regular function. Here are going to be the opposite operations happening to your inverse. So over here, starting with the x inside, if I were to plug a number in, what would I do first? Like, let's say x is 9. I would first say 9 minus 5. So the first thing happening is that 5 is being subtracted. Then we would multiply by 1/4. Then we would add 7. We now do the opposite operations. What's the opposite of plus 7 is minus 7. Opposite of times a fourth is times 4. Opposite of minusing 5 is plusing 5. Here I go writing my inverse function based on the table. I go from bottom to top, start with my base of x. First I'm minusing 7, then I'm multiplying by 4, then I'm adding 5. Do you see how this is the exact same answer we just got? Which way do you prefer? You do you. All right, next one. We're going to have to graph an inverse. In order to graph an inverse, we need a table. And we always want to draw in that line of reflection. So starting at 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, etc., grab a straight edge, and let's start by getting that line of reflection drawn on there. That line of reflection goes through the same line of reflection on every inverse graph. All right, now we're going to draw a couple pairs, coordinate pairs from the original graph, and then we're going to flip those for my inverse graph. So I'm going to use this elbow and this elbow, and then I'm going to do one on either side. I'm going to do this dot right here and this dot right here. So starting at negative 5, 0 is my first coordinate pair from right here. Then negative 4, 3. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 9. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Those are my starting values of a couple of the dots on my graph. You also could do this middle one too, but again, we only need 3 or 4. Now we just flip those. And those are going to be the coordinates of my new inverse graph. So here I go putting it onto the graph. I'm going to use green for this one. 0, -5. What was once a horizontal movement back 5 is now a down 5. Look at my reflected opposite. Next, 3, -4. Next, 9, 4. Next, 7, 7. Now we're going to connect these. Here's my flat edge. Here's my elbow. Here's my other elbow. Look at how that looks like an exact reflection. Label it f of -1 of x. All right, we are now doing the new angle relationships concept. So I'm going to pause here after inverses. I'll make 2 other videos for these 2 other topics.